Have you ever laid in bed at night, unable to sleep, with your thoughts spinning out of control? One moment you're replaying a conversation from earlier today. The next, you're predicting everything that could go wrong tomorrow. You try to shut it off, but the thoughts just keep coming. You feel trapped in your own mind. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Overthinking has become a silent epidemic. It drains your energy, clouds your decisions, and keeps you stuck in fear. And yet, most of us never stop to ask, why does my mind feel this way? And how do I change it? Here's something you might not expect. More than 2,500 years ago, a man sat under a tree and observed his own mind. He watched his fears. He listened to his thoughts, and what he discovered became the foundation of something timeless. It became a way of living that brings clarity, calm, and deep inner peace. His name was Siddhartha Gautama. You may know him as the Buddha. This video is not about religion. It is about wisdom. It is about practical, powerful insights from Buddhist teachings that are just as relevant today as they were centuries ago. Because the truth is simple. You don't need to escape your thoughts. You don't need to fight your anxiety. You just need to understand your mind. And you need to learn how to gently guide it back to peace. In this video, we will explore 7 core Buddhist teachings. These teachings can help you stop overthinking, find stillness within yourself, and reconnect with the present moment. These are not rules. They are gentle reminders. They are quiet invitations to live differently. They teach us to see our thoughts not as enemies, but as passing clouds in a wide, open sky. So take a deep breath. Let this be your pause. Let this be the beginning of a quieter, kinder way of being. Let's begin. Teaching 1. Mindfulness. The art of noticing mindfulness. It is a word we hear often these days. But what does it really mean? At its core, mindfulness is the practice of noticing. Noticing your breath, noticing your thoughts, noticing how your body feels in this very moment. It is not about fixing anything. It is not about becoming someone new. It is about waking up to what is already here. The Buddha taught that most of our suffering comes from living anywhere but the present. We worry about the future. We dwell on the past. All the while, life is happening now. It is unfolding in this breath, in this step, in this single moment. Mindfulness is the gentle art of coming home to yourself. Imagine you are washing the dishes, but your mind is somewhere else. Maybe you are reliving a stressful conversation or planning tomorrow's to-do list. In that moment, you are not truly present. You are lost in thought. But what if instead, you felt the warmth of the water, heard the soft clink of the dishes, noticed the simple movement of your hands? That is mindfulness. That is the power of noticing. It sounds simple, but it is not always easy. The mind is often compared to a restless monkey. It jumps from one thought to another. It chases every worry, every memory, every distraction. Mindfulness teaches us something different. It teaches us that we do not have to follow the monkey. We can remain still. We can watch it with kindness and without judgment. And eventually, the mind begins to quiet on its own. One of the most common mindfulness practices in Buddhism is breath awareness. You do not need to change your breath. You do not need to force it. You simply notice it. Try it now. Take a slow, steady breath in. Now slowly let it go. Feel the air enter through your nose, move into your chest, and leave gently through your mouth. In this moment, your mind is not thinking about yesterday. It is not worrying about tomorrow. It is right here. Mindfulness does not mean you will never have thoughts. It means you will begin to relate to those thoughts differently. Instead of being pulled into every emotion or every story, you observe them. You create space between you and the noise. And in that space, something beautiful happens. Peace becomes possible. The Buddha once said, "To understand everything is to forgive everything." When you are mindful, you begin to understand yourself. You begin to notice the patterns. You realize that thoughts are just thoughts. They are not facts. They are not warnings. They are simply passing mental events. Mindfulness is not a complicated practice. It does not require hours of meditation. You can start with just a few minutes a day. Be mindful while brushing your teeth. Be mindful while drinking tea. Be mindful while walking from one room to another. The goal is not to do it perfectly. The goal is to begin again. Every time you notice you have drifted, that moment of noticing is already a moment of mindfulness. With time, the moments grow longer. The mind grows softer. The heart grows steadier. Mindfulness is not the destination. It is the way forward. It is the way home. Let us keep walking together. Teaching 2. You are not your thoughts. One of the most powerful realizations in Buddhism is this: you are not your thoughts. That might sound strange at first. After all, your thoughts seem to speak in your voice. They know your memories. They follow you everywhere. They even seem to define who you are. But take a closer look. Have you ever had a thought that surprised you? Maybe it was dark. Maybe it was random. Maybe it made you uncomfortable. And you asked yourself, why would I think that? That moment is important. It shows you that there is a part of you that can observe the thought. And if you can observe a thought, then you are not the thought itself. In Buddhist teaching, the mind is often compared to the sky. Thoughts are like clouds. They come. They change shape. They drift away. Some clouds are light and pleasant. Some are heavy and stormy. But none of them are the sky itself. The sky remains open and untouched. Just like your awareness. When we forget this, we get swept away. One anxious thought leads to another. Before we know it, we are building entire stories about what might go wrong. And we start believing those stories as if they are true. But they are not. They are mental events. They are habits of the mind. They are echoes from the past, fears about the future, or simply noise passing through. You do not need to fight your thoughts. You do not need to silence them. You only need to recognize what they are. Try this. Sit quietly for a few moments. Let your thoughts come and go without trying to stop them. When a thought arises, gently say to yourself, that is a thought, not a fact, not a truth, just a thought. Then return to your breath. One inhale, one exhale, and again. Over time, this practice creates space. It gives you distance from the noise, and in that space, clarity can arise. The Buddha understood the mind deeply. He taught that our suffering often comes from clinging to what is not real, and many of our thoughts are just that, not real, not helpful, not even ours, sometimes. They are patterns we have picked up, stories we have been told, or fears we have carried too long. Letting go of identification with your thoughts is not easy. It takes patience. It takes kindness. It takes practice. But with each moment of awareness, you reclaim your peace. You stop reacting automatically. You stop judging every emotion, and you begin to live with more ease. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. And that difference changes everything. So the next time a thought tells you, you are not good enough, you are going to fail, you are stuck forever, take a breath, smile gently, and remember, that is just a thought. It does not get to decide who you are. Let us move forward with that freedom. Teaching 3. The impermanence of everything. Everything changes. It sounds simple, but when you really begin to see it, everything in your life looks different. Impermanence is one of the most central teachings in Buddhism. It means that nothing stays the same. Not your emotions, not your relationships, not your successes, not even your pain. Look around you. Seasons shift. People grow old. Babies are born. Flowers bloom and fade. Even the sky is never the same from one moment to the next. And yet, We often live as if things will stay just the way they are. We cling to the good moments. We try to hold on to pleasure, youth, love, and certainty. And we fear the bad moments will last forever. But they never do. That is both the gift and the challenge of life. Everything passes. The joy, the sorrow, the confusion, the clarity. It all moves like waves on the ocean. There is a story often told in Buddhist tradition. A powerful king, filled with pride and fear, wanted to create a ring with words engraved on it. Words that would make him feel hopeful in times of sorrow and humble in times of joy. He asked the wisest sages in his kingdom, and finally, they gave him a message. It said, "This too shall pass." When he was grieving, he looked at the ring and felt comfort. When he was celebrating, he looked at the ring and felt grounded. Impermanence is not something to fear. It is something to understand. When you realize that all things are temporary, you begin to suffer less. You begin to loosen your grip. You begin to breathe again. This does not mean we become careless. It means we become present. We stop wasting time trying to make every good feeling last forever. And we stop believing that every difficult moment will define us. Think of your most painful memory. Now think of your happiest moment. Neither one lasted, and neither one defines who you are right now. Everything in your life is part of a river. It flows, and you are in it. Trying to hold on to any one part of the river only creates suffering. Letting yourself float with the current brings peace. This is the power of understanding impermanence. It helps us grieve what is gone without losing ourselves. It helps us love what we have without fear. It helps us welcome change instead of resisting it. Even your thoughts are impermanent. Even your fear is impermanent. Even this moment, as you hear these words, is already becoming part of the past. So what can you do? You can be present. You can appreciate without attachment. You can feel without clinging. You can live with your eyes and your heart open, knowing that everything you touch is precious because it will not last. Impermanence is not a threat. It is a teacher. It is always reminding us to let go of what was, be with what is, and trust what will come. Right now, wherever you are, whatever you are carrying, remember this: it will not last forever, and neither will your joy, which is why it matters so much to feel it fully while it's here. So, take a breath. Let it go. Take another. Feel what it means to be alive in a world that is always changing, and know that in this changing world, peace is not found by holding on. Peace is found by letting go. Let us continue. Teaching 4. Let go of control. We like to believe we are in control. We plan. We prepare. We organize every part of our day, and we expect things to go the way we imagined. When they don't, we feel anxious, frustrated, or helpless. But the truth is, control is often just an illusion. You cannot control what other people say. You cannot control how others feel or how life unfolds. You cannot even control your own thoughts entirely. And when you try to control what cannot be controlled, you suffer. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the practice of non-attachment. It means learning to let go of the need to control everything and everyone around you. It means learning to trust the flow of life, even when it is uncertain or uncomfortable. Think about how much energy you spend trying to manage every outcome. You overthink what might happen. You stress about what went wrong. You worry about things you cannot change. And in the process, you miss the present moment. Letting go of control does not mean giving up. It does not mean becoming passive or careless. It means accepting what is outside of your hands and placing your attention where it matters most, on your actions, your choices, your response. There is a quiet strength in surrender. Imagine standing in a river, holding onto a rock in the middle of the current. You grip it tightly because you are afraid of being swept away. But that effort drains you. The water keeps pushing, and your body becomes tired. Now imagine letting go. You release the rock, and the current carries you. You float. You may not know exactly where you are going, but you are no longer struggling. Letting go of control feels like that. It brings a kind of freedom that striving cannot. You begin to realize that peace comes not from forcing things to happen, but from allowing things to unfold. Ask yourself this simple question. Right now, in this moment, what can I control? You can control how you breathe. You can control how you speak. You can control how you treat yourself and others. That is enough. That is more than enough. The Buddha taught that clinging is the root of suffering. When we cling to control, we build walls around our hearts. We become tense, we become reactive, and we lose sight of the bigger picture. But when we release that grip, something opens inside us. We become softer, more spacious, more grounded in the reality of life. Life is uncertain. That will never change. But your relationship with uncertainty can change. You can choose trust instead of fear. You can choose surrender instead of resistance. You can choose peace instead of pressure. Letting go is a practice. It takes time. It takes courage. But it leads to deep inner freedom. So the next time you feel yourself trying to control the uncontrollable, pause. Take a breath. Place your hand over your heart if you need to. And remind yourself gently, I can let this go. Control is not the path to peace. Letting go is. Let us move forward. Teaching 5. Cultivate self-compassion. There is a voice inside you. You may not always hear it clearly, but it is there. It shows up when you make a mistake. It speaks up when you fall short. And often, it is not kind. You're so stupid. You should have known better. Why can't you ever get it right? Sound familiar? Most people carry this voice quietly. They never question it because they think it is the truth. But it is not truth. It is habit. It is pain, pretending to be discipline. It is fear wearing the mask of self-improvement. One of the most overlooked teachings in Buddhism is the importance of compassion for yourself. We hear a lot about compassion for others, about kindness and empathy toward the world. But what about you? The Buddha taught that just as a mother would protect her only child with her life, so should we cultivate boundless love toward ourselves. That kind of love is not ego. It is not self-pity. It is a deep, unconditional regard for your own humanity. Because you too are a human being. You too are imperfect. You too are learning, growing, breaking, healing. And you are worthy of love, not just when you succeed, but especially when you fall apart. Think about the last time you were hurting. Did you offer yourself understanding? Or did you criticize yourself for not being stronger? Most of us are much harder on ourselves than we would ever be on a friend. If your best friend came to you in pain, would you call them a failure? Would you tell them to get over it, to toughen up, to be better? No. You would sit with them. You would listen. You would say, "It's okay. I'm here. You're doing the best you can." So why not offer the same to yourself? Self-compassion begins with awareness. Notice when that harsh inner voice appears. Don't fight it, but don't believe it either. Just pause, breathe, and ask, what would love say right now? Sometimes love says, rest. Sometimes it says, try again tomorrow. Sometimes it says, you are enough exactly as you are. Loving yourself is not weakness. It is the foundation of strength. Because when you meet your own pain with gentleness, you create the space to grow. One of the most beautiful Buddhist practices is called metta, or loving-kindness meditation. It is a practice of repeating simple, sincere phrases to yourself and others. You can begin with yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease. You might not believe those words at first. That is okay. Say them anyway. Your heart will learn to hear them. Over time, this practice softens the edges inside you. It turns that critical voice into a kinder one. It helps you become your own refuge. You will still make mistakes. You will still fall short sometimes. But you will not abandon yourself anymore. And that changes everything. So wherever you are in your journey, be gentle with yourself. Speak kindly to yourself. Forgive yourself. Support yourself the way you would support someone you love deeply. Because no one heals faster by being punished. We heal through love. And that love must begin within. Let us move forward with softness. Teaching 6. The healing silence. In a world filled with noise, silence has become rare. Every moment seems to be filled with something. Music in the background, notifications on your phone, voices on television, the constant hum of conversation, traffic, opinion, and expectation. But there is something that silence can offer you that no amount of noise ever will. It offers space, it offers clarity, and most importantly, it offers healing. The Buddha often retreated into silence. He taught through words, but he lived through stillness. Silence was not emptiness to him. It was presence. It was truth without explanation. It was peace without conditions. We often think we need to figure things out in order to find peace. We talk, we analyze, we seek advice, we explain ourselves again and again. But sometimes the answer we are looking for only arrives when we stop speaking. Have you ever sat in a room alone with no sound? At first it can feel uncomfortable. The mind may race. You might feel restless or even anxious. But if you stay with it, something begins to shift. You begin to hear things you normally overlook. The rhythm of your breath, the faint sound of your heartbeat, the weight of your body resting on the ground. You begin to feel yourself existing again, without distraction. This is the healing power of silence. It brings you back to your center. It shows you that you are not the chaos of the world. You are the stillness beneath it. Many Buddhist monasteries have days of noble silence. On those days, no one speaks. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they want to listen more deeply. To their own hearts, to the wisdom of the present moment, to the silence between the thoughts. You do not have to go to a monastery to experience this. You can create small islands of silence in your own life. Begin your morning with 5 minutes of quiet. No phone, no music, just you and your breath. Or take a silent walk in nature. Let your senses guide you. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Notice the wind brushing against your skin. Hear the sounds of life around you without labeling or judging. Even during your busiest day, you can find a single minute to pause and be silent. Close your eyes. Breathe. Allow everything to be as it is. Silence is not the absence of life. It is where life reveals itself most clearly. When you allow silence, you begin to see that much of what you thought was urgent is not. Much of what you thought you had to fix can simply be accepted. And much of what you were trying to run from is not nearly as scary as it seemed. You return to yourself, not the version of you that is performing or proving or pleasing, but the real you. The quiet, calm, clear awareness that has always been there beneath the noise. There is a reason why so many great teachers speak softly. Because truth does not need to shout. It arrives in stillness. It is heard in silence. So give yourself that gift. Not just once, but regularly. Turn off the noise. Step away from the screens. Sit. Breathe. Listen. Silence will not leave you empty. It will fill you with everything that truly matters. Let us carry this quiet into the next part of our journey. Teaching 7. Release attachment to outcome. We all want things to go a certain way. We create plans. We set goals. We work hard. And deep down, we hope everything will unfold exactly the way we imagined. But what happens when it doesn't? What happens when the job falls through, when the relationship ends, when the effort does not bring the reward? For many of us, that is when suffering begins. We blame ourselves. We feel like failures. We spiral into fear or regret. And sometimes, we stop trying altogether. In Buddhism, this experience is known as attachment to outcome. It is the habit of tying your peace, your self-worth, or your happiness to a specific result. And when that result does not come, you fall apart. But the teaching is clear. Peace does not come from getting what you want. It comes from releasing your need for things to turn out a certain way. You can still care. You can still try. You can still pour your whole heart into something. But you do it with openness. You do it with surrender. You let go of the outcome and come back to the process. There is a famous parable about a farmer whose horse ran away. His neighbors came and said, "What bad luck?" The farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." The next day, the horse returned with 3 wild horses. The neighbors said, "What good luck?" The farmer said again, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." Then the farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses, fell, and broke his leg. Again the neighbors said, "What bad luck?" And again, the farmer answered, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." Later, the army came to the village, taking young men for war. They passed over the farmer's son because of his injury. The truth of this story is simple. We never really know what any outcome means in the grand unfolding of life. What feels like failure today may lead to growth tomorrow. What seems like loss may open the path to freedom. And what you fear most may become the very thing that teaches you how to live. Letting go of attachment to outcome is not apathy. It is not giving up. It is choosing presence over perfection. It is choosing intention over expectation. When you release your grip on the outcome, you free yourself to live, to act with integrity, to love without conditions, to do your best and trust the rest. Try asking yourself this. What am I attached to right now? Is it a result, a reaction, a number, a title, a timeline? Then ask, can I let it go, just for this moment? Can I show up fully without needing to control what comes next? This is how peace enters. Not by getting everything right, but by releasing the need to. Breathe in. Feel the effort. Breathe out. Let go of the result. Repeat that again and again, as many times as you need to. The world is full of change. Outcomes rise and fall. Plans succeed and fail. But you are not here to chase certainty. You are here to live with presence and purpose. So trust the path, even when it twists, even when it turns, even when you do not know where it leads. Because life is not asking you to control everything. It is only asking you to walk with faith. Let us close this teaching with that truth in your heart. You are free to try. You are free to let go. You are free to be at peace, no matter the outcome. You have now heard 7 Buddhist teachings, 7 timeless invitations to slow down, to look within, and to see life more clearly. You have learned to become mindful, to step back from your thoughts, to embrace impermanence, to let go of control, to treat yourself with compassion, to sit in silence, and to release your grip on outcomes. But all of this leads to one simple truth. Peace is not something you have to chase. It is not waiting for you at the end of a goal. It is not hiding behind the perfect job or the perfect relationship or the perfect version of yourself. Peace is already within you. It has always been here. Quiet, still, patiently waiting beneath the noise. It does not shout. It does not demand attention. It whispers in the moments when you pause. It appears when you stop running. It shines through when you remember who you truly are. Not your mistakes, Not your worries, not your past, but your awareness, your breath, your presence. We spend so much of our lives trying to become something, trying to be better, stronger, wiser, more in control. But sometimes, the most powerful transformation begins when we stop trying to become, and instead learn to simply be, right here, right now, just as you are. The Buddha did not offer us rules to follow blindly. He offered a path to walk with open eyes, a path that leads not away from life, but deeper into it. A path of presence, a path of compassion, a path of understanding, and above all, a path of peace. So, as this video comes to a close, ask yourself this: which teaching spoke to your heart today? What is one small shift you can carry with you into your next breath, your next conversation, your next moment of doubt? Maybe it is pausing to notice your breath. Maybe it is softening your inner voice. Maybe it is simply remembering that not everything needs to be solved right now. Whatever it is, trust that even the smallest step matters, because peace is not built in a single leap. It is built one breath at a time. Thank you for sharing this time. Thank you for showing up for yourself. The journey continues, not in some distant place, but right where you are. Now take a deep breath. Feel the quiet that lives underneath it all. That is your peace. That is your home. It has been here all along. Let it guide you. And if this video spoke to you, please take a moment to like it. It helps more people discover these teachings and begin their own path to peace. If you feel called to share, leave a comment below. Let me know which teaching resonated with you most, or how you plan to carry it into your life. And if you would like to continue this journey together, subscribe to the channel. There is much more to explore, and I would be honored to walk with you. Until next time, take care of your breath, your heart, and the stillness within you.